Hello. I said I wasn't sure how often I was going to post these videos. And it's been a little bit, but I was thinking today, kind of on the note of just some areas of maybe personal growth. Today I wanted to talk about something that I think is maybe a weird topic to talk about, but I don't know, we'll find out. I hope that YouTube pulls a thumbnail from that face I just made, but anyway. Today I'm going to talk about character. So like the definition of character is like your mental and moral qualities. Now, I personally think of my character as something as very important. I consider it a lot. Because for me, I also equate it to how do people receive you? As somebody with ADHD, diagnosed late in life, I've often been misunderstood. I've referenced that before, and I think that it's built an inherent need and want in me to explain myself and make sure that I'm not being misunderstood. And part of that is asking, like, was the thing I intended to say, was the thing I intended to do received the way that I would have hoped it would have been received? Because the thing is that, like, having ADHD means kind of a whole bunch of amazing things, but it also means I can be incredibly distractible. Sometimes I can be brusque. I can be excitable. That's not true for everybody with ADHD, but it is true for me, and I can admit that. So, like, that affects how people receive me, and I think it's a little bit dangerous to just say, this is who I am, and people have to accept me. I don't think so. I don't think anybody has to accept anybody. I think we all get to choose. But as somebody who hopes to, I guess, create belonging myself, it's rooted in a deep need to also belong. So when I consider character, I'm always doing the balance between what is core to me and what can I learn and improve. One, from not being misunderstood, but also so that I have the impact that I'm hoping for. Our characters can be defined by ourselves and how we see ourselves, but that comes with the narrative of what's going on inside our head. You get to remember that everybody else out there in the world is experiencing something different because they bring their own narrative inside their head about what your actions could mean, and that could be based on their own experience or things that they've gone through. And character is really about trust too, right? Like, a person's character helps you understand whether or not you can trust them. And a big part of trust is matching words to actions. It's like if you have a friend who says, I'll always be there for you, but they're the first ones to cut out when things get difficult. I mean, those two things don't match, right? So, like, can you trust them? And I mean, if we are somebody who wants to be trusted, if you go around and you say, I care about sustainability in the earth, but then you also don't recycle properly, you don't do these things, like, do people believe you, right? So the intent inside our heads wouldn't match the impact that we're having, and that can create misalignment in how people are receiving our characters. So it isn't just the story that they're telling themselves, it's also how we might not be aligning things together. So I think it's really important to consider that and to try and consider, the alignment across your words and your actions to make sure that you're having that impact that you're hoping for. And I mean, for example, for me, one of the character traits that I find, really important is authenticity. I am messy. I'm just me. I'm messily who I am. It doesn't mean that I'm happy with all my decisions or whatever, but if I do something that feels authentic to me, even if it is a mistake, I still feel like it was the right thing to do, because doing something else would have felt wrong. It would have felt like sandpaper against raw skin, and that's not something that I'm easily capable of. Like, I can learn and I want to grow as a person. And if addressing something that doesn't feel authentic or doesn't feel right leads me to a place to grow where it would feel authentic, then, I'm willing to give it a try. But for the most part, though, when I hit those situations, I find myself going, okay, I need to find the way that makes sense for me, because though the way that I'm impacting someone isn't the way I intended, the solution that somebody else might present or the way that they want to approach things doesn't align with me and who I am. And I can't engage with that. Because I think it's taken me a long time, and I don't even know that I would say I'm finished this journey, but it's taken me a long time to kind of find a home for the person that I am, find some ways to love that person, faults and all. And so doing things to conform that don't feel aligned with me don't feel right either. So like, I over-explain when I make a mistake. Sometimes I do. And I'm really silly. I can also be extremely existentialist. I overthink all of our existence. I marry those two together. And then I find that sometimes I can be empathetic to a sense of ruining my own ability to be there for myself and put myself too much in other people's shoes, so that I might betray my own self-interest. But those are all things that I value about myself, in the ways that it shows up, that it creates positivity. So I kind of have to accept the light with the dark. And I have to recognize that we should all recognize that the experiences that we've been through in life, whether they be negative or positive, they're all things that help shape this character. And sometimes knowing your character, or seeking out to know yourself, isn't always about changing. It's about understanding why you do the things that you do. And it might be that you have certain habits or things that show up that aren't actually true to who you are, but they were a coping mechanism for something that you went through. And then you can evaluate whether or not that's something you want to keep in your character. I think, I think that when we consider character, it means something different to all of us. And we might have different things that we appreciate about ourselves, or that we appreciate about people we include in our circles. So, I guess I challenge you, when you watch this video, to think about what character traits that you hold that feel most important, and what character traits do the people who you have around you that you have the most alignment with also carry. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have people around you that don't fit that, but it does help build that kind of memory or intuition that can be better relied on going forward. And on the vice versa, if you also had a lot of situations where you have been burned by somebody, you can also look at character traits that would exist in those circles as well, so that you can try to maybe avoid that from happening in the future. I think that ourselves are much like businesses. We have mottos, we have core values, we have action statements, we have purpose and mission. Like, all of those things, they kind of have different variations, but they're all designed in a business to help make sure that you're aligned and you're heading in the right direction. And these are all things that we can also have for ourselves, because humans are prone to working on autopilot. We often do things without even thinking about it, based on what we know. And stopping and considering what's important to you can actually help in making tough decisions. It can help in aligning with where you're going to go in the future. And it can help make sure that you have the right people around you. So I challenge you, think about what it is that is a character trait for the people you want around you, and for yourself, that you most value. Hope you have a good week, and maybe I'll see you later this week.